Hello everyone, today we'll be looking at an article from Yahoo News about some stealing of plastic shopping baskets. If you find these types of articles, read-throughs interesting, I do have quite a few on my channel if you want to check out my playlists. Generally, I'll read through the article first, and then we go through the meanings of the words and the grammar points used as well. I'll put a link in the YouTube description box below, which will skip my reading of the article if you're just interested in learning about the grammar and vocab points. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to get further information. But let's get started. レジ袋有料化でカゴパック激増。一月で1年分の被害。それでも警察沙汰にできないスーパーの事情。スーパーやコンビニのレジ袋有料化が7月から始まったことで、カゴを持ったまま退店するカゴパックが増えているという。店によっては、カゴパックされても客を咎められない事情があるようだ。カゴパックが急増した都内スーパー。レジ袋が有料化されて1ヶ月で1年分のカゴを持っていかれてしまいました。そう話すのは、都内のスーパーアキダイ社長、秋葉博道さんだ。カゴパックは明らかにレジ袋有料化の影響ですと話す。カゴパックとは、客が生産済みの商品をカゴに入れたまま持ち去ってしまうことを言う。レジ袋を購入しなかった客がカゴをレジ袋代わりに使ってしまうのだ。アキダイは都内に5店舗出店しているが、7月の1ヶ月だけで約20件のカゴパックが発生した。これはアキダイ全店舗の1年分のカゴパック発生件数に相当するという。早急な対応に迫られ、生産前ピンクと生産済み青にカゴを色分けし、さらに生産済みのカゴの取っ手を外した。8月中旬からまずは本店でこのシステムを導入して、カゴパックの件数が激減したという。レジ袋有料化によってマイバッグを使った商品の万引きもあった。これも全国の小売店で問題になっている。アキダイでもマイバッグの万引き犯を捕まえて警察に引き渡したそうだ。被害弁償もいくらかしてもらいました。さて、カゴの値段はスーパーによって異なるが、だいたい200円台後半から500円未満のようだ。カゴも商品も盗めば窃盗罪に該当する。しかし、秋葉社長の口ぶりは悩ましい。カゴパックも万引きと同じなんだけど、警察沙汰にするかというと難しい。カゴパックを実験化できない理由。大きな理由は、カゴパックをしてしまう客の中に常連客がいるからだ。注意しても、明日また持ってくるよ。ちょっと使わせてね。と言われてしまえば、断りづらい。また、店側から、カゴじゃなくて段ボールで持ってってよと言えば、わかったよと素直に応じてくれる人ばかり。返すのを忘れているだけなのだ。つまり、お客さんに罪悪感がほとんどないから、普通の万引きと同じようには扱えないんだよ。実際にいくつかのカゴは戻ってくるし、ただ、カゴがないと店は困っちゃうよねというのが店の本音だ。常連ではない客にカゴパックをされても常連客と異なる扱いはできない。気づいた時にはカゴを乗せて車を見送るしかできない。過去にはアキダイのカゴを洗濯カゴに使っている客が知り合いにいると知人から言われたこともある。怒るよりもうちの店のファンなのかなと思ってしまったそうだ。別の店ではカゴパックを防止できている。関西で数十店舗を展開するスーパーでは数年前からアキダイと同じく色と取っ手のあるなしでカゴを生産前と生産済みに分けている。その効果もあるのか、有料化の始まった7月以降でもよそのスーパーでのカゴパックは聞きますが、 うちでは目立った増え方はしていない広報担当者という。また、首都圏に店舗を展開するスーパーでも特に対策はしていないものの、2020年7月から8月のカゴパックは確認されませんでした。広報室とのこと。店の対応や出店エリアによってもカゴパックの発生する度合いは異なるようだ。Okay, so let's look at the headline first. So first we have Reji Bukuro. Now, Reji is short for register. This is the cash register. Bukuro, or fukuro is a type of bag. So Reji Bukuro is a shopping bag. And yuryoka, well, whenever we have this ka here, you see it's the action of making something or ification. All right, so something is really, this word is bakeru really, which is to change something. And yuryo is there is a charge of something. So yuryoka is changing from a free version to a paid version. And, you know, we're seeing it with the shopping bags here in Australia as well. What happened quite some time ago, but, you know, you used to get these plastic shopping bags for free from the supermarket. And now, obviously, they charge you to use the reusable bags, which are often referred to as my bagu. And in this article itself, we see this terminology here, my bagu. Now, kago paku is a joining of two words. So kago is the Japanese word for the basket, right? It's generally just a word for basket, but here it's referring to the plastic baskets you can see in this picture. He's got them here. And we're going to see that this one doesn't have a handle and this one does. That gets explained in the article here. And paku, this is from pakuru. And it's not coming up in the dictionary here, but pakuru is to steal something basically. So kago paku is stealing baskets. And then we got gekizo. Now, gekizo is a sudden increase. We're going to see we have a few words for increase in this article. All right, so geki is hageshi, which kind of means violent or something like that. And then this is fueru, which is to increase. So gekizo, it's a type of sudden increase in basket stealing. Hitotsuki is 1 month. Hitotsuki de, by means of 1 month. Ichinenbun. Now, nenbun is like an amount for a year. So ichinenbun, 1 year's amount. No higai. A bit of a tricky word here, higai, but higai is damage of some type of thing. So basically it's a loss, right? They're losing money because they have to replace these baskets. So sore demo. So even with this, basically 1 year's worth of baskets being stolen in 1 month. Demo. So even with that, keisatsu zata. Now, this is a bit of a tricky word, but sata is a type of a case. Now, we have this word jiken in this article, and jiken is also kind of means case, but this is more like a matter. So it's kind of like before it becomes a case, I guess. It's a police matter, and then you have a police case a bit later. Keisatsu zata ni dekinai. Well, this comes from our ni suru, ni naru type of construction. And ni suru is to make a choice about something, right? So keisatsu zata ni suru basically means to report it to the police, right? To make it into a police matter. But ni dekinai, well, dekiru, dekinai, to be able to do, to not able to do. And dekiru is the potential form of suru. So ni dekinai, we can't make it a police case. Now remember, this is kind of this is very likely a quote from Akiba-san, who runs the supermarket Akidai. And we're going to see that he doesn't want to involve the police with this. He doesn't want the police going out there and arresting people for taking baskets, because we're going to see there's a few situations why, but mainly sometimes there's loyal customers who just take them home by mistake. People forget their bags, so just use the basket and then again forget to bring the basket back, even though they say they will. Stuff like that. But basically, he doesn't want to push it into a police matter. Because it's not going to look good, basically. Super no jijo. And jijo is kind of like circumstances. So this is kind of the problem that supermarkets have to deal with. And we see here, this has got 2,408 comments. I don't know if that's particularly large or not. It seems like quite a lot. But this is a bit of a big issue, apparently. All right. And we see 7月から始まったことで. So this started from July. ちゃんとことで. カゴを持ったまま退店する. Now, this ta mama grammar means while doing something, kind of continuing on in that state. So kago motto mama, while still holding the basket, 退店する. And this basically means to leave the shop, right? So while holding the basket, they leave the shop. And これ、カゴパクが増えているという. Alright, so という, it's kind of referring back to a concept, and the concept is カゴパク is increasing. So here they're basically giving you a definition of what カゴパク is, which is to take the basket out of the store. So 店によっては, according to the store, カゴパクされても, even if someone steals the basket, 客を咎められない事情があるようだ. Now this 咎められない comes from the word 咎める, which is kind of to criticize someone, to kind of blame someone for something. And the められない is the potential form. I've got a video about potential forms. If you want to check it out, it's right up here. But they're kind of saying they can't kind of blame the customers for this because of certain circumstances of the store. And we'll get to these in a second. Okay, so カゴパクが急増した都内スーパー. So this is kind of similar to that word we saw before, 激増. But this word now it means quick, right? So 急増, it's a sharp increase or a recent quick increase, whereas 激増is like a large increase. I mean, really, they're pretty interchangeable words. And then 都内, this is basically within Tokyo, right? So supermarket. So a supermarket which has had the sharp increase in kagopaku. Okay, so we have our 有料化されて. So, this was a law passed, I'm guessing, right? They passed a law saying, hey, you can't give the bags away for free, that you have to make people pay for them. So 有料化されて, される is the passive form of the verb. So it was kind of like not monetized, but it was chargified. It's like it was turning from free to costing something. And then 1ヶ月で, so within this month, 1年分のカゴが持って行かれてしまいました. Now, 行かれて is another passive form, kind of talking about the people grabbed the baskets and then left, all right? The customers did this, right? So 行かれて, and then しまいました, this is someone does something completely or unintentionally. I would say here it's probably more the completely thing, because they took the basket and left and then they haven't brought the basket back. They are very likely doing this intentionally. で、そう話すのは, so when we have そう, こうそう, and these types of words in front of a verb, it means in that way or this way or something like that. So そう話す, so speaking this way, this is a quote we can see here. It's got our quote marks on it. So そう話すのは, this no is kind of changing 話す into a noun. So as for speaking like that, 都内のスーパー, so a supermarket in the Tokyo region, 秋台. Now this is a kind of a relatively big supermarket chain, I guess. But Akidai, and then Shacho is our CEO, basically, the boss of the company. And then we've got a person's name here. So this is Akiba Hiromichi-san. All right, so, and this guy has been on YouTube a fair bit talking about the same issue. So if you want to watch a video to see him talking about it, you can as well. So, he's the person saying this thing, right? Kagopaku wa, so as for this thing, akiraka ni. So this means clearly, all right? So kind of from the evidence you're seeing, it's obvious that what? Well, since we've changed to the charging now for these things, eikyo desu, it's influence of this thing, right? So he's kind of saying, well, we never really had this problem before. They brought the changes in, and once we started having to charge for bags, we suddenly started to see our baskets going missing. Now, I'm going to have this word a few times in this article. Seisan basically means to pay for something. I guess it's that second meaning, but it's where, you've got all the stuff in the basket, the supermarket kind of scans it all and tells you, hey, this is how much it costs, and then you pay for it. Because zumi means something has been completed. So seisan zumi, they've already calculated how much it costs, and you've already paid as well. So basically, you're at this point, you would normally leave the store, right, with all your supermarket stuff. All right, and we've got shohin, which is just basically the commodities that the supermarket sells, so all the food, basically. But we've got kago, so basically, shohin, seisan zumi no shohi no kago ni irete mama. So the stuff they've already paid for, they just put it in the basket and then mochisatte. Then mochisaru is basically takeaway, right? You grab something and then you leave. And you go somewhere that shimao. And again, our te shimao thing, you kind of do it completely. Koto o yu. Now I've got some footage here from Akidai showing how this system works. So you see there's the pink baskets. Now it seems that this video was recorded at least when this pink and blue system wasn't in place, because we can't see any blue baskets here. But basically you can see that you walk around with a pink basket and then your items get scanned. And normally after the items get scanned, they get put into the blue basket. But here they don't have the system, so they don't do it. But then you grab that basket and then take it over, and you can see there's some tables there, which is where everyone bags their groceries. Now this is pretty common throughout Japan. It's not just this supermarket chain, but that's where it would be. It's just you can't see quite in this video this pink blue system working. So the person scans it, puts it in this kind of other basket, which is just the he calls it the seisan zumi basket. So it's basically the paid for goods one. It's the pre-bagging phase. I don't know. But he's saying what people do is they just kind of grab that basket, and we'll see it's the one with no handles, and then they'll just kind of walk off with it. So irete mama. So with this basket with the stuff in it, they'll just kind of take it. Okay, and then we got reji bukuro kounyu shinakatta. Now kounyu just means to buy something, right? So kounyu shinakatta kyaku. So customers who haven't bought the my bag, right? The reusable bags. Kago reji bukuro ga kawari ni tsukatte shimau no da. Okay, so kago o, and then we got reji bukuro gawari ni. Now, reji bukuro gawari this is from kawari, which is the substitute, right? So in substitute for using the reusable bags, kago tsukatte shimau, they use the basket, okay? Akidai wa tonai ni 5 tempo. Now, tempo is just kind of a fancy word for a shop front, a shop store or something like that. And then shutten is basically to set up a store. So they have 5 locations, I guess, in Tokyo. And in the 7月の1ヶ月だけ, so just within the 1 month period of July, 約20件のカゴパクが発生した. They had about 20 incidences of basket stealing. これはAkidai全店舗. So this for all locations of Akidai の1年分のカゴ. And 発生, by the way, is to occur or something happens. So basically over these 5 locations with 20 instances of basket stealing, これ1年分のカゴ発生件数に相当するという. Okay, this basically corresponds to a year's worth of baskets being stolen. Sakyu no taiyo. Now sakyu again just means quickly or immediately, and taiyo is a response to something, and then semarare is the passive form of this. So kind of trying to pursue an appropriate and immediate response. We have seisan mae. All right, we have our pink basket, which is now we see mae. So before basically this is the basket you walk around the store with. And then we have seisan zumi, which is just the basket that people put the register person puts the goods into, right? And we see a picture of it up here. Okay, so the pink has the handles because this is the one you actually carry around the store. And the blue one, actually, it's written in kanji here as well. I believe that says Seisan Zumi. It's a bit blurry, but that looks like to me it says Seisan Zumi. So this is the one, they'll just basically have a stack of these at the register, which the register person just gets an empty one and then puts all your stuff in there. Okay, so they've got these 2 baskets. Ni kago o iro wake shi. All right, so they kind of separate these 2 baskets in colors. Iro wake is, you can't really see that, but classified by color coding, something like that. So wakeru is to split something up into various groups, right? So iro wake to split it up into various colors, and shi is just our verb stem of shimasu or whatever, right? So they've separated these into 2 colors. Sarani, and then kind of on top of that, like furthermore, seisan zumi no kago no totte o hazushita. Okay, so they removed the handle, right? The totte. of the basket, right? Those two little plastic handles. They removed those as well. Now, you might say, well, why are they doing that? Well, I guess by removing their handles, they're trying to encourage people to not take them away. Because if it doesn't have a handle, that's going to make you think, hey, wait a minute, why does this basket not have a handle? Well, it doesn't have a handle because they don't want you to be holding it. You kind of have to awkwardly put it under your arm or something. So anyway, they're kind of doing this to bring people's attention to the fact. And we got 8月中旬から. Now, this is a bit of a fancy word, 中旬, but we have 上旬, 中旬, and 下旬, which is just the first third, middle third, and last third of a month. So 8月中旬から, so from the middle part of the month. まずは firstly, 本店で, so the kind of the flagship store, the main shop で、このシステムを導入して, so they've introduced this system. カゴパクの件数が, so the cases of basket stealing が、激減したという. Alright, so now we have the opposite. We had 激増 in the headline, which is like a sudden increase. And then now this kanji is heru, which is to decrease, but the onyomi is gen, so geki gen. It's a sudden decrease, okay? So they're kind of saying this has been quite effective, having the two baskets separate out and removing the handle. Seems to be getting the message across pretty well. So now we've got Regiburo. So according to the chargification of the bags, マイバッグを使った商品の万引きもあった. Okay, now 万引き, this is another way to say it's shoplifting, really. It's stealing. And we have マイバッグを使った商品. So goods which use a マイバッグ. Now what's going on here? マイバッグを使った商品. So it's commercial goods which use a マイバッグ. They're reusable bags. の万引きもあった. So there has been stealing of goods which use マイバッグ. これも全国の小売店. Now, 小売店is a bit of a hard word to remember, but it's a kind of a small business as opposed to like a big franchise or a big, like this, I don't know, I would say that this shop, I guess I would say that Akita is a 小売店. It is a kind of a big-ish, I mean, it's got a few locations, but it's not like a nationwide franchise, I guess. So I guess I don't know what the definition is for a 小売店, but Akita probably falls into this. But 全国の小売店で問題になってる. So it's becoming a problem at these smaller retailers all over the country. アキダイでもマイバッグの万引き犯を捕まえて. So マイバッグの万引き, alright, so stealing of the マイバッグ, the reusable bags. See here now they've put han on the end here. Han is just a type of crime, generally used as a suffix to talk about a crime. So 万引き犯, the crime of shoplifting. を捕まえて. And 捕まえる is basically to kind of, not arrest, but to kind of catch people doing it. So they've caught people stealing even the マイ bags at Akidai. And 警察に引き渡したそうだ. Now, 引き渡す is to hand someone over, right? So they catch the Akidai staff catch the shoplifters and they go, okay, well, go to the police now. You've stolen the maibaku. And so now we're starting to see part of the issue here. It's that, okay, we have clear instances of shoplifting and Akidai has handed people over to the police or turned it into a police matter, clear instances of shoplifting. But we can see the problem here is, do we really want to be handing people into the police who take a basket? Because as we're going to see, maybe they just forgot or they meant to bring it back, or there's a whole bunch of other reasons. And it's going to cause a lot of issues if we start handing people over to police like this. But watashita soda, so here we see remember, we've always got a problem between, is this appearance or hearsay? And when we're doing hearsay, it hasn't been, like basically the soda is not part of the word. It's added on to the full conjugation of the word. So this must be hearsay, right? It's been reported that they were handed over to police. Now we have our higai bencho, which is basically criminal compensation, all right? If you've stolen something, you have to pay, I guess, restitution or something like that, right? You have to give money in equal value to the goods that you've stolen. So, 被害弁償もいくらかしてもらいました. So we've had we've had basically lots of times where people have paid us restitution, okay? There's been money which has been paid to Akidai because of the stealing. Sate, and this is just kind of a topic changer. Kago no nedan wa supa ni yotte kotonaru ga. So the nedan is the price of something. Here, I guess the cost is more better term, but the cost of those plastic baskets is differing depending on the supermarket, right? Ni yotte, according to, and kotonaru is differing. So, but it might be different. Daitai 200 yen dai. So, daitai usually 200 yen, about that. Kohan, so kind of in the bottom, the top half of 200 yen. So they're kind of saying it's above 250 yen. But they're saying it's at least from about 250 yen, something like that. Kara 500 yen miman no yoda, which is a little bit less than 500, so maybe 480 yen or something. But in Australian dollars, this is a few dollars, right? $4, $5, $6 maybe per basket. No yoda. It appears to be that way. Kago mo shohin mo. Okay, so the baskets and the commodities, right? So the stuff that the shop actually sells. Nusumeba. Now, Nusumeba, this comes from nusumu, which is to steal. And meba, this is our bar conditional particle. Not particle, sorry, it's the conditional form. So nusumeba, if you steal these things, baskets and the commodities, it becomes settozai. Now, this is a bit of a fancy word just to be, it's really, I guess you would say it's the crime of theft, larceny. We don't really say larceny in Australia, but yeah, it's the crime of theft. Ni gaito suru. And gaito means to correspond to with something, all right? So basically it's like you've met all the, the actus reus and the mens reus of the, so actus reus and mens rea, I always forget how you say those, but you've met the physical and mental elements, right? You've stolen the thing and you kind of know you did it. So you can say, well, that's the crime of theft, tosuru. So this is obviously getting the police involved. However, Akiba Shacho, so the guy we heard some quotes from before, no kuchiburi wa nayamashi. Nayamashi, a little bit of a tricky word. I would say it's probably the third one there, which says anxious or uneasy. And kuchiburi is kind of the way you speak. So Akidai Shacho, the guy we heard from earlier and we saw in that video footage as well, no kuchiburi, the way he's speaking about it, wa nayamashi, okay? So he's kind of troubled. It's causing an issue for him. He's like, what do I do? This is causing an issue with my business, but it's kind of heavy-handed to get the police involved. Maybe we just need to do some educational campaigns in the store, and we're going to see that is kind of successful as well. So the article continues, Kagopaku mo manbiki to onaji nandakedo. So to onaji, all right, it's the same as. So kagopaku mo manbiki. So stealing the baskets and shoplifting is the same, right? In the end, it's really just theft. But then dakedo, but, so we can kind of expect some kind of contradiction here. Keisatsu zata ni suru. Okay, so now this is very similar to the thing we saw before, keisatsu zata ni dekinai, but ni suru ka. So it's kind of like someone saying to him, well, why don't you make it a police matter? Ni suru, make it a choice. Ka is like a kind of a yes-no rhetorical question kind of thing. So it's like, okay, if you think it's stealing, why not make it a police matter? And he's saying, when people say that, to yu to, when people say that, muzukashi, it's not quite as cut and dry, all right? We have a lot of issues as a business. One thing he does point out in the video I referenced earlier, it's in an interview for a news channel, but he points out that this issue of either having to buy bags or bring your own bags with you is causing some issues with customers who kind of do those little shops after work. So they might come down to the shop 3 or 4 times a week just to pick up a few items after work, and they don't necessarily have their bags on them. And so then they're kind of like, okay, well, I'm just not going to shop now. So he said that's kind of an issue as well. And so he doesn't want to be really heavy-handed about it because it's just going to discourage people from coming to the shops. All right, and we got kagopaku o jiken ka. Now we see again this word ka, the ification of something. And jiken, I mentioned before, it's a case, right? Generally a police case in this situation. So how can we turn the taking of the baskets, or really the stealing of the baskets, into a criminal thing? How can we turn it into a criminal case? But we see dekinai ryu. Dekiru, dekinai. Dekinai means we can't do it, and ryu is the reason. So the reason why we can't kind of turn it into a criminal complaint or criminal case. All right, 大きな理由は, so the big reason is, カゴパクをしてしまう客の中に, so amongst the customers who kind of completely take the baskets, we got 常連客がいるからだ. Now, a 常連客 is like a loyal customer, a customer who goes there a lot and shops at the place a lot. And いるからだ, because amongst the people who were stealing the baskets, we obviously have some people who just kind of go to the store once and steal a basket. And we also have customers who are constantly who constantly visit the supermarket like every week or something, and then also constantly take a basket. So that's going to be a bit of a problem as well. But of course, a joren kyaku, in Japan, they're pretty serious about customer service and things like that. And, you always want to please your joren kyaku, right? These are a big part of your business. They come, they like the place, whatever. So, when I worked at the hotel, for example, I had to learn all the names of the joren kyaku, what company they work for. And then, when they called up, I had to give them a little special thing. And, it's kind of hard to remember all this stuff. But, Japanese businesses take joren kyaku very seriously. And so, if we're having, basically, if your joren kyaku are stealing from you, it's creating a bit of a problem for the business because you got to treat them well, but at the same time, they're kind of stealing from you. So what do? Well, 注意しても. Now, 注意 is to kind of warn someone. So you're just going to say, hey, please don't take my basket. 注意しても, even if you warn them, 明日また持ってくるよ. Now, 持ってくる, to have something, and 来る, to come. So they're kind of saying, hey, I'm going to come tomorrow anyway, because they're a joren kyaku, right? I'm going to come tomorrow, and when I come, I'll bring the basket back. ちょっと使わせてね. Now, 使わせる is to let someone do X. And here, the verb is use. So let someone use it. So the customer is asking the shop, hey, just let me use it this one time. All right, I don't have my bagu with me today. Let me just use the basket. All right, ちょっと使わせてね. So please just let me use it. と言われてしまえば. So if they say things like this, 断りづらい. Now, 断り is to refuse someone, and this is a verb stem, right? 断り. And then we add tsurai, or maybe you guys might know it more as nikui, and that means it's hard to do something, right? So kotowari zurai, it's hard to refuse them, okay? Because they're joren kyaku. Mata, misegao, so from the shop's point of view, kago janakute, if it wasn't the basket, so if it's not the basket, danboru de mottette yo. Now, danboru is a cardboard, okay? So basically a cardboard box, de mottette yo, right? So please, take your groceries home using a cardboard box. This is a supermarket. They'll have lots of cardboard boxes you can use, or they're kind of saying bring your own cardboard box, I guess. But at the very least, don't take our basket home with you, all right? And now this mottette yo, so motte is the te form of motsu, which is to hold. And the te form is often used to do commands to people, right? So, danboru de motte, please, the word please is there, but take it by means of a cardboard box. And this teo is, it's kind of quoting. And so like the rule might say, please take home stuff in a cardboard box, all right? That might be a rule somewhere. And so they're like quoting that rule, all right? But they're kind of saying, hey, we say, please take it by box and not by the basket. といえば, and if you say this thing, わかったよ. So they say, yeah, okay, I get it. と素直に応じてくれる人ばかり. Now, 素直に is like honestly or frankly or bluntly, yeah, meekly, something like that, obediently. Yeah. So you're kind of like, hey, if you tell them what the rule is, and go, hey, can you please not take the basket home? And then 素直に応じて, it's kind of like they follow obediently, right? And then てくれる, people do this favor for you. And then ばかり means all of that, completely, all of that thing. So basically, if you ask them, hey, please don't take the basket home, at least they're saying in this store that all the customers like, oh, okay, yep, sorry about that. わかったよ, okay, got it, yep. And then they unload it, whatever, put it into a box, I don't know, and then take it home, right? So they say every time they mention it to someone, the people do follow the directions. 返すのを忘れているだけなのだ. So, dake, I guess we'll start at the end. I mean, noda is kind of emphasizing this thing, and dake is only. So, kaesu no, again, turning kaesu into a noun, and kaesu is to return something. So, kago o kaesu, to return the basket. Kaesu no o, the act of returning it. Wasureteiru, currently there, wasureru is to forget, and this is the progressive tense, so wasureteiru, they're currently in the state of forgetting, dakinanda, all right? So basically the problem is that, okay, we tell people not to take them anymore, and if we do tell them that, they all comply. So then the only problem we have is that if we don't tell people that, and even if they say, oh yeah, we'll bring it back, the problem is that they forget to bring it back, so we end up not having it back. The end result is they don't get it back. All right, tsumari, and this is kind of like in conclusion, right? In other words, お客さんに罪悪感. All right, so this is the feelings of guilt. がほとんどないから. All right, so again, there's a kind of this disconnect. I guess I kind of think this way as well. But yeah, you kind of treat the supermarket baskets as separate from the goods. Like obviously everyone realizes that it's shoplifting if you steal the goods from the store. But that logic also applies to the baskets. If you're not supposed to take them outside, and if you don't return them, you've certainly stolen it, really. So, but they're saying this zaiyaku kan ga hotondo nai. So most people just don't really think about it. They just don't really compute the fact that it's stealing. They're futsu no manbiki to onaji yoni. So futsu no manbiki, so like kind of normal run-of-the-mill shoplifting, to onaji yoni, in the same way that atsukae nai n da yo. Now, atsukau is to handle something, right? To handle a matter, handling, what do you do with these customers who are basically stealing from you? Atsukaeru is the potential form of this verb. So you can't handle them in the same way as normal shoplifters. Okay? Because the way you handle normal shoplifters, well, first of all, you arrest them, or you try and arrest them, or at least report them to the police when you find them. But also you can put up signs and go, hey, shoplifting is bad, things like that. But you can't, it's kind of hard to do that with them because you have to put up a separate sign saying, hey, shoplifting the baskets is bad. You can't quite deal with it the same way. So, jissai ni, so in reality, ikutsuka no kago wa modotte kuru shi. So in reality, ikutsuka, now this is a question word with a particle. Again, I've got a video up here where I talk about the various combinations that this is, but ikutsuka is basically a few, several, no kago wa modotte kuru. Now modotte kuru is to come back. So when people say, oh, can you just let me use it? I'll bring it back tomorrow. Some people do actually do it. They bring it back. And I guess there's no harm, no foul, I guess. But the problem is that doesn't always happen. Tada, however, kago ga nai to, if there are no baskets, of course, if everyone decides to take them home on one day and then you run out, mise wa komachchau yo ne. The shop is going to have an issue because where are they going to get more baskets from? Even if they buy more baskets, it's going to take them some time to get there. And then in the meantime, people might return all these baskets. So then you'll have none one day, you'll order a whole bunch, and then a week later, you've got double the amount that you need. So to you no ga mise no honne da. Now honne, a bit of a tricky reading of this kanji actually, but the honne is the real intention, right? The real thing that you want to say. So that's what the crux of the issue is. Like it's kind of saying, well, if these other customers use them and take them home, I mean, it's not that big of an issue. I mean, technically we've already paid for the basket, and most of the time they do kind of tend to return it, so we don't really lose it. But we don't always have it at the store, and the whole point of the basket is to be used in the store. So the kind of thing, the real problem is that it causes inconvenience for other customers, which then the shop itself has to deal with irate customers. Like, hey, where are all your baskets? It's like, well, other customers are taking them home. Okay, it's kind of putting the shop in a difficult position. So again, we have our joren de wa nai kyaku, so our non-regular customers ni kagopaku o sarete mo, even if non-regular customers steal the baskets, joren kyaku to koto no atsukai wa dekinai. So koto naru atsukai, differing treatment. Atsukai is just the noun of the verb we saw before, atsukau. So differing treatment to the joren kyaku, the regular customers, wa dekinai. They can't do it, right? Basically, this is discrimination. You can't treat two sets of customer classes differently. 気づいたときには, so when you notice it, カゴを乗せて, so 乗せる is to place something, right? So カゴを乗せた車. So the car with the basket inside it, を見送るしかできない. Now 見送る is to like see someone off, right? To wave goodbye, right? So basically you watch them do it, and because you can't go, hey, you're not a regular customer, you have to give that basket back now, because they can't. It's just discrimination. They can't do it. So all they can do is go, all right, bye bye basket. Probably not going to see you again. しかできない. It's really the only thing you can do. This is the only thing you're able to do. Just go, bye bye basket. Good knowing you. So 過去には in the past 空き台のカゴを洗濯カゴに使っている客が知り合いにいる. Now 洗濯カゴ, you use it for washing, right? You just use it as a laundry basket, basically. So 空き台のカゴ, so the 空き台 basket を洗濯カゴに使っている客. So there are customers who use 空き台 baskets as washing baskets as well. 知り合いにいる. I have like acquaintances or friends who do this. と知人から言われたこともある. So basically acquaintances have told me that they have friends who use Akidai's baskets, because we're talking to the shacho, right? To the head company. So when people find out, oh, you're the shacho of Akidai, oh yeah, my friend uses Akidai baskets as their baskets. And he's like, no, please get them to return the baskets. All right, but anyway, wareta koto mo aru. I've been told that this happens. Okori yorimo, now, so okori is anger, so, and yorimo, so more than anger, uchi no mise no fan nano kana. So more than being angry at the fact that they have taken the basket, uchi no mise no fan. Now, uchi no mise is like basically watashi no mise, my store, because he's the shacho, right? It is his store. No fan nano kana. So basically, is it, rather than getting angry at them, he's kind of like, but aren't they just fans, right? They just want to, they like the shop and they kind of want to, it's like you buying the merchandise of your favorite sports team, I guess, but instead they just steal the baskets. と思ってしまったそうだ. Okay, so you kind of fall into this way of thinking, right? This てしまう or てしまった here, it's kind of like an unintentional thought. And soda, this is again a hearsay. So this person's kind of saying, I wonder, rather than getting angry at them, I tend to like fall into the thought pattern of, maybe they're just fans of the store. Okay, and anyway, all right. So 別の店では, so now we're not talking about Akidai anymore. カゴパクを防止できている. Now, 防止, this is kind of prevention. Okay, so できている, they're in a current state of being able to do prevention. So it seems that some other stores are having more success maybe than Akidai. So Kansai de, so now we're talking about the Kansai region. Okay, so this is not Tokyo anymore. This is Osaka and the surrounding areas. There's Suju, and Suju like dozens, scores of decades. Well, not decades, but Suju and then Tempo. So dozens of stores or 展開するスーパーでは数年前から. So many shops from 数年前から, so from many years previously, アキダイと同じく, so similarly to アキダイ, 色と取っ手のあるなしでカゴを生産する. Alright. So having said that, I have actually seen this before, and I think even Aeon might do this, the really big supermarket. But anyway, I can't quite remember if they did or not, but I do remember them having the two baskets, and I think they were different colors, and I'm almost certain that the Seisan Zumi one didn't have a handle on it, but I'm trying to think back to 2011 now, I can't quite remember, but I'm almost certain that was the case. So this system has been around for a while, and they're done like that. And その効果もあるのか? So like basically whether or not there's effectiveness there. 有料化の8月以降でも, so since the introduction of the charges for bags, よそのスーパーでのカゴパクは聞きますか? So you kind of hear in other, yoso is like another place, right? よそのスーパー. So in other places, you do hear about some instances of kago paku. うちでは, so in our store, so again, this is just some random Kansai store, 目立った増え方はしていない. Now, 目立つ is to stand out, to be very visible, and 増え方 is the way of something increasing, はしていない. So basically, they're not seeing that same pattern that this Akidai place is seeing. And this is basically the PR person, どういう, right? So this is what they say. So they're saying they don't see it really as a big issue compared to the Akidai guys. また、首都圏, so again, we're back to the you know, this can be just the capital city of somewhere, but generally it refers to Tokyo. So in shops which are kind of open in the Shutoken, 特に対策はしていないものの. So there are some shops which don't bother at all to do. 対策 was a type of countermeasure. So there's basically shops which don't really do anything in particular to stop this happening. From, you know, between July, August in 2020, カゴパクは確認されませんでした. We weren't able to confirm any instances at all of basket stealing between this month that Akide is complaining about. And then again, this is the PR people. とのこと, all right? So it seems two different sources, one from Kansai, one from Tokyo. They're both saying, it's not really as big a problem for us as Akide. The misu no taio, yeah, so the response of the shops, yeah, shuten area ni yotte mo, the area in which the shop is in, kagopaku no hazai suru doi wa kotonaru you da. So it seems that it depends where the store is that contributes to whether they have occurrences of basket stealing. All right, guys, this article was relatively tricky with some of the kanji, but I think grammar-wise, you could probably find this in N3 level in Jlpt. Maybe N4 grammar-wise, but because of the words in there, this is a bit probably too hard for N4, but N3, and probably a little bit too easy for N2, but I would say it's about that level. So it's a good way to think about that level when you read this, kind of think, well, am I at that level? Or not. But yeah, that's where I would put this article. Not so hard. It's kind of fact-based reporting. But you do have kind of an interesting twist where you talk about, you know, what's the psychology of people who steal baskets and what's the psychology of the guy who owns the store. So that makes it a little bit difficult as well. But in the end, that's where I would put this article. All right, guys, that's it from me. If you found this video entertaining, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be putting this in the playlist with a whole bunch of other articles that I've read through, which is very good for Jlpt study or high school study or uni study if you're trying to get into Japanese. Or if you're just trying to improve your Japanese, reading articles like this, and you saw that blue box that comes up a lot, it's an extension that's free called Rikai-kun. And I've done a video on how to use this extension. You can find it up here as well. And it really helps reading these articles to have that extension. It's very quick to look up words that way. Now that's all from me, and I'll see you again soon. じゃあねー。